Hey guys, it's Mountain Walk, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about Premodern again, another Premodern deck tech, and today we're going to be talking about zombies. That's right, we're going to be looking at zombies with all their zombie things. It's going to be pretty sweet. Everyone likes zombies, right? Well, okay, some people like zombies. The whole zombie thing in popular culture is certainly a little bit overdone. But not this deck. This deck is done just right. Or if you prefer, over easy or scrambled. So yeah, either or. But let's get on without any further ado. So what we got here going on, we got more tribal stuff, more tribal synergies, and there's quite a bit actually. There's some decent standalone cards, right? So things like Carnophage or Sarcomancy or whatever, uh, but also good disruption, right? In Therapy and Duress, which is pretty nice, as well as all sorts of other good things. But there's quite a bit of nice tribal payoffs in Onslaught Block, right? The first sort of real tribal set, although there are, in Fallen Empires, there's some tribal stuff, and obviously even back in Alpha, there's some tribal cards. But we get quite a bit of really interesting, really good tribal cards for zombies in the Onslaught block, which really, well, they tie the room together, so to speak. So we got quite a few good cards, some good standalone stuff, good payoffs, so that's pretty sweet, and some really things that are very, I guess you could say, uniquely zombies, and really sell the deck and the tribe. It's like, well, why would I want to play this? What does it offer me to play this zombie thing, right? Versus something like elves or merfolk or goblins or whatnot. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the deck list. All right. So, of course, we've got, again, pretty typical, pretty stock sort of zombie list, right? Nothing too wonky here. Disruption, Duress Therapy, that kind of good stuff. A little bit of removal with Diabolic Edict. I mean, that could be something like Smother or Snuff Out. Any of those are pretty good cards. I like Edict just because it's never really truly dead for the most part, and of course it's good against stuff like Reanimator, which is pretty sweet. So yeah, anything that relies particularly just on one creature, Edict is pretty good against them. We'll get to the creatures in just a moment, but yeah, they're all zombies, so there you go. I mean, yeah, I'm playing all zombies in my zombie tribal deck. Probably don't need to explain that. And of course, we have Wasteland, right? Because it's basically a free roll in monocolor decks, and Wasteland's very powerful, as well as Dark Ritual, of course, can produce some pretty sweet turns, pretty powerful turns, and of course the sideboard, which we'll go over a little bit. But again, a lot of stuff that's not going to look too wonky, not too wonky. All right, so let's talk about a little bit about the creatures and exactly what's going on here. Carrion Feeder is a really interesting card. It can do a some really cool stuff with things like Rot Lung Reanimator, So like if your guys are going to die in combat or be removed, Carrion Feeder does a couple things because, like, if they want to plow, say your Rot Lung Reanimator, you can sacrifice it to Carrion Feeder and grow the Carrion Feeder, as well as basically fizzling the Swords to Plowshares, and of course making a token. So that's pretty sweet. It can get really big. It helps you dodge removal. It can basically act like a flag bearer, where they kind of have to kill it first before they start targeting other stuff. Otherwise, like if they don't kill it, it eventually just gets too big, taking a bunch of extra damage, right? If you're always just trying to kill the utility guys and just being all sacked to Carrion Feeder. So it can definitely, it's another one drop. It can just do some really cool stuff. Shepherd of Rot is one of the big reasons why to play this deck. This gives the deck a lot of reach. I mean, this is a really, really powerful ability. Um, that's a lot of life loss. That's a lot of life loss. Having like 3 or 4 guys in play, be able to tap this to make everyone lose life. I mean, obviously this dodges stuff like solitary confinement, worship, because it's life loss and it doesn't target, of course. Really, really good stuff here. Definitely gives the deck, of course, even something like, say, Ensnaring Bridge on 0 cards, Shepherd of Rot, and of course, a Gem Palm Polluter as well, too, which we just saw. These cards, again, offer a ton of reach, give you a lot of ability to kill out of nowhere, Very sweet, very sweet. And of course, Rotlong Reanimator. This card is super cool. So not only, of course, the aforementioned Shepherd of Rot, but of course Withered Wretch as well, and Rotlong Reanimator itself are all clerics. So there's quite a few clerics, 12 in total, and whenever they die, you get a 2/2. Very sweet. So it gives you more resiliency versus sweeper effects, which is obviously very, very needed for tribal decks, because otherwise, you just get blown out and your deck just doesn't work. Obviously, with no creatures in play, right? So yeah, what Rotling Reanimator does is pretty invaluable. Produces tons of guys. Again, good synergy with Carrion Feeder. Just gives you a level of resiliency, which is very much so needed. And of course, Unholy Grotto, the sort of non-reserve list Volrath stronghold. Except it's cheaper, and I mean the first one's a free roll. There's no reason not to run 1 copy of Unholy Grotto. It's just, well, it's free, right? It's free. Same thing with 4 Wastelands, although the Wastelands, while they can be mana sources, are typically just, well, they're just land destruction spells. So yeah, there you go. I mean, pretty simple stuff. Nothing too confusing here. Real straightforward. All right. For the sideboard, most of the stuff is pretty obvious too. What we got? Null Rod. Because we are mono black, we don't have any other way to hate on artifacts, so Null Rod it is. Our favorite $100, reserve list card. Oath of Ghouls. This is another good card against, well, any deck that wants to grind. Any deck that wants to grind, Oath of Ghouls is very good against them. Zombie Master. This card is sweet. I can't remember of any other place I played this before, but in Premodern, it's very good against decks like the Rock, right, where you can have just all this green creatures and a bunch of crap in the way. So, like Walls, Ravenous Baloth, even Birds of Paradise in a pinch, can all block and be really annoying. So not only does this give your guy Swamp Walk, but in addition, it is defense against Pernicious Steed, where, if they blow it, you can regenerate all your other guys. As well as, I guess, something like Navinral's Disc, if that shows up, or Chroma's Vengeance. Yeah, I think Chroma's Vengeance lets you regen. So, pretty obvious stuff here. And then, of course, we have Gloom. I like this instead of the second Oath of Ghouls, just because against something like Blue-White Landstill, this card is just very good, making their swords cost 4 mana, making their Humilities and Wraths cost 7 mana, making it 3 mana for them to activate Circle of Protection, like if they had Cop Black or someone was playing Story Circle. That's pretty powerful. Pretty powerful. So very sweet cards, very sweet cards. I love Gloom. Any any excuse I can use to play Gloom is certainly a good one. Okay, so this is again not gonna be too weird for some people, but can you believe it? It's a mono black deck that's good versus combo control decks and less good versus aggressive decks. I know, pretty strange, pretty weird, but it's true. It's true. Again, you can board tons of stuff in for that. Obviously, there's things like Contagion and so on. Engineer Plague against other tribal decks. A lot of good stuff there. A lot of good stuff there. Yeah, typically things like um, duress and therapy are less good against the aggressive decks. So um, those are easy cards to board out for like actual creature removal. Um, also the other nice thing about black is there's just a pile of good hosers against everything, right? Dystopia against green and white decks, or I mean, even something like Dystopia is pretty good against Landstill because they'll play Humility, right? Humility is a huge beating, so even something like Landstill, Dystopia still can have like a place, you know. Although obviously Dystopia is very bad against something like uh, Decree of Justice, right? Obviously they'll have all these extra tokens to sack, and that's not particularly good. But yeah, in general, I would say lots of really really great hosers, really powerful hosers. Like I said, E-Plague, Dystopia, Perish. Um, I mean, really, you can go nuts. Really, really go nuts. Also, one of the other nice things is being able to play main deck Graveyard Hate with Withered Wretch. Of course, Withered Wretch is a little bit slow, but it pretty much shuts down all graveyard stuff for the rest of the game. So you only need like one or two copies of Tormod script, just sort of as an addition, right, to um, deal with like graveyard-based decks. And one of the other really nice things is there's an actual mana curve here. There's 1s, 2s, and 3 mana cards, which is super sweet, super sweet. So you can't go wrong. And the other really nice thing is that this deck doesn't really say draw a ton of cards like say something Goblins would do to go late to keep up having just tons of gas. This deck has, of course, a lot of recursion, reanimation, things like that. Like I said, Oath of Ghouls in the sideboard. There's also, again, Unholy Grotto. There is also Lord of the Undead, right? His ability. So all this stuff can definitely give you a lot more game, late game. So that's pretty sweet. That's definitely something not to be overlooked. A real powerful draw to wanting to play this kind of deck. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, this is a pretty simple deck. You play your discard, you play your zombies, or in the reverse, maybe you play your zombies and then you play your discard. But yeah, there you go. There you go. Pretty simple stuff. Board in your powerful cards against decks where they line up. My opponent is playing Forest. I think I will play Perish and Dystopia. Again, this is the kind of deck that's not too tricky to figure out. It's not going to be too, it's not going to be these weird esoteric, lines of play. It's going to be pretty simple, right? You're going to play your dudes, you're going to play your Dark Rituals, you're going to play a bunch of stuff, you're going to play your discard, and then, kill them or something, hopefully in a couple turns. So, not much going on there. So, yep, there you go. So, thanks for stopping by, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Another quick one, another easy one, which I really like. You should definitely try this deck out. It's got a lot of zombies. So yeah, there you go. So thanks for stopping by, and have a great day.